If you want to travel with your young kids, but it all feels too overwhelming, you're in the right place. We're traveling the world full-time with our 3-year-old, Toddler, testing every place you see on this app. Because your dream trips don't have to end when you've got a young kid, but it does make traveling a little different. So we want you to know the logistics of how easy it is to take a kid to certain spots. So while it's easy to find content about places to eat and what to do, we want to touch more on things like, do I need to bring my car seat? Are there easy activities to find for my kid that are cheap or maybe even free? How easy is it to find a bathroom? So we're going to get started in a place you might not have ever considered, and that is Belgrade, Serbia. I feel like as far as the Balkans go, like everything is slept on, but we're like slowly making our way across the map. You know, like now Croatia is blown up and people are talking about, oh, Montenegro and Albania are coming next. Like we're just kind of working our way down. If you go a little bit inland, you'll find Belgrade, but especially if you are traveling with a kid, stop sleeping. Let's start with activities. I know that these kids cafes are starting to pop up in a few more places in Europe. Within the heart of the city, there's like 4 or 5 of these kids cafes, and it's like $5 an hour to send your kid to a well-maintained aesthetic Chuck E. Cheese, where you send them to play in the ball pits and you can just hang out, have a drink, have a coffee. They're being monitored by the staff there. And another thing we loved about Belgrade is that you could not walk more than a few blocks without seeing a playground, which can be a pro and a con at sometimes. You know, sometimes you've got somewhere to go and every time you walk by a park and your kid's like, I want to go play, and you have to be like, oh, it's not time right now. But when your kid has that urge and they just need to get some energy out, you do not have to search far. And that is a huge deal when you're traveling. If you're going to be out and about from your hotel all day, you need to have those times where your kid can just get energy out. And it's just great filler time throughout the day. This is Belgrade Fortress, which is free to walk around. They also have a park in there. They have a zoo that was like $5. Sorry, they had one paid playground that had dinosaurs in it. They had 10 playgrounds within the grounds of the fortress. Okay, next let's get into food. You know, sometimes like when you're walking around a city and you have your stroller, you can feel like a burden coming into a restaurant, but we truly never felt that here. Everyone was so accommodating, like taking an initiative to move chairs around or just find us a place to park the stroller. It also felt really safe where if you needed to, you know, park the stroller outside and head inside, you really weren't having to worry about anything. And as a city with just like endless cafes, you were never far from a spot to just like sit down, grab a treat if you needed something fast. Speaking of strollers, let's get into stroller accessibility. There were only a couple of places around the city that had these cobblestone streets, and really only one of them was one where you were like bumping around as you were going. The sidewalks, as you can see, are really wide, which just makes such a huge difference when it comes to accessibility and trying to navigate people. You do share the sidewalks with bikes, but in the majority of the city, they have a dedicated bike lane drawn out on the path. Do you need to bring a car seat? Definitely not. There are 3 different types of public transportation that can get you from the airport into the city. On the buses, you can just push your stroller straight on. You don't need to fold it up. And the moment that we would get on a bus, like 5 or 6 people would offer to get up and offer their seats to Brooke and Isla. The public transit is so easy to use throughout the city. Kids don't need a ticket. Overall, I'm not here to make conclusions for you. I'm just here to provide information so that you can make an informed decision on what it'll be like to travel somewhere with your toddler. But for us, we got to learn and experience that Serbia is a super family-first environment, which made traveling there and experiencing there for our kids super easy. So follow along for all of our travel tests.